Welcome, Spikelings, to the Shark Typhoon. But I'm not a big Subtlety fan, and so like Subtlety solos Tron or anything. Also, if I'm reading correctly, it seems like you want to cut a Charmaw, which I feel like I don't really want to cut a Charmaw if we're trying to improve the Tron matchup. Okay, good to have a fire here. So we shock and steam vents and fetch basic planes next turn. It's a little flooded, but this matchup was pretty good. Don't think I'm going to binding this right now, of course. But ideally, I'd like to maybe be able to trigger Beanstalk, or like use a different ant, like top deck Fire Ice, kill this and save this for Murktide. I'm going to go and fetch basic planes. It's somewhat conceivable they could be main decking Blood Moon in this metagame, so with us already having Domain seems like just correct to play a little bit around it, although I guess I'll be playing this Misty and then Forest if they Blood Moon, and then Red Source if they don't, so I can Hardcast Fury maybe. My opponent does like definitely have a counterspell up here. Seems okay to me to just wait a turn. At the very least, like next turn if I Shardless Agent, I can Beanstalk and not have it get spell pierced. And I can also like maybe bait the counterspell on the Fury, or you know, draw like a Teferi or something. Thought for a moment maybe I'd be getting Shadow Doubted. We have double white because we have the Temple Garden, so I think it's fine to just get Stomping Ground so we could cycle Raugrin Triome later. Not a huge deal either way. They just want to Fury this turn. They like so clearly have a counterspell. We'll just trade this for a counterspell, and then next turn, like we have like a lot of like 3-drops to like let us dump a spell, maybe get a spell through a counterspell. The Sideboard Fairy Mastermind in blue-red versus Bean. You want to board in Fairy Mastermind as Murktide against Up the Beanstalk. So like I don't know if I'm reading that correctly or misunderstanding what it is you're saying, but if that is what you're saying, that does not sound good, no. If both regular 4-color and Cascade Bean play 4 Force of Vigor for Beans, wouldn't Ring become the Mirror Breaker? Conceivably. I don't know. Ring is like just like it gets binding, it's like less powerful, it's slow, but I don't know, maybe. It's probably not a bad card in the mirror. So I guess if we shock and they find Delirium, I'm dead to a bolt, but it does feel like I need to stick this. Maybe they have a Spell Pierce. I mean, it's Ragomin 2 mystery cards, no Spell Pierce. Alright, they find Delirium, they do another bolt. They exile Delta. Second Channeler. Okay, main deck Force of Negation. Gonna have to have a... Oh, you know what? I think me, like, not getting another white source into play earlier, like, I mean, whatever, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna bring in the Endurance. I'm gonna bring in a Murderous Cut. We just go down to two Deep-Fiends. Click submit. I think you could play the Elesh Norn over Deep-Fiend. I like the Deep-Fiend's instant speed though. Hard to play around. Doesn't seem amazing. This is probably one of the worst matchups for it though. But the power level is still pretty high. Another very marginal hand. I do like that this hand plays really easily around Blood Moon. And I like that you can kill a Ragavan with it, that's kind of like two of the most important things you can have in the mirror. It's a hard matchup to mulligan in. Being able to hardcast your stuff is fine. I think we are probably supposed to keep this. One thing too is like it's really easy to mulligan 5-landers the game after you got pretty flooded, but that doesn't mean it was like correct to do so. I think 3 is the correct number of Deep-Fiends. I haven't really felt like I want 2. I haven't really felt like I want 4. I think Inevitable Betrayal is not good, but I mean it's a high variance card. Like it'll have its moments. I want to ice here so I can try to draw a 3-drop, or I guess Beanstalk and resolve it. Hopefully, you know, obviously they could have Spell Pierce or something. I will be jamming. You know, they could have Snare Pierce. See if they have 2 of them. Actually, there's maybe a reasonable argument for like waiting a turn there, and then jamming both. Don't open the Blood Moon. No Blood Moon. Or did I not pay out the prediction? Okay, so we can get our Zagoth Triome here. See what we draw. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are just not supposed to play into Spell Pierce here. Yeah, despite Agent being a little bit better against Counterspell, I think just like declaring that Spell Pierce is just not going to be that effective against us this game is valuable. On a 14, they've got 4 cards in their hand. Riptide, huh? Very good draw from them. Another counterspell. If we draw a white card off of our Shardless Agent, we're doing fine. If they don't find Delirium off their Channeler, we're doing fine. Or for their Channeler, we're doing fine. If they don't have an answer to the Solitude next turn, which they're less likely because they've already used 2 counterspells, we're also kind of doing okay. They do find Delirium, so that's, step 1 and things going poorly. Down to 4, which is not 3, which is not 0. Okay, so now I guess we're gonna hardcast Fury, try to draw a white card in the top 2 or something. Yep. Yep. Kind of feels good that we can keep a somewhat mediocre hand, have their draw be so powerful, and still wind up ahead like this. Of course, one of the reasons we kept that hand is because we could play around the Blood Moon somewhat effectively. I'm also kind of relieved that they're bolting that, to be honest. Yeah, I can go like end of turn, Ice and Island, Binding the Blood Moon. I guess I should be icing not in their instep though. Shaco with the 27, thank you. Were they holding Force of Negation? Yeah, Unholy Heat, Force of Negation, another Blood Moon, Subtlety, Counterspell. There's a few cards they could have. Why not instep? If I do it instep and they float a blue, I can't really binding because then they can counterspell my binding, or I don't necessarily want a binding. If I do it like this, then they can't float that blue mana. Oh, I'm out of beanstalks. Okay, so draw land, Shardless Agent land was not the best. 3 draws in a row, I suppose. Was the Blood Moon such an issue? I mean, I think I want to binding it. I could have left it in play, I guess. I want to draw a card. I want to be able to hardcast Solitude at some point and gain some life. It wasn't the end of the world now. Okay, now that I have an answer to Ragavan, I'm comfy enough attacking for 4. Cycle the ice end of turn. I'm not cracking these fetches ever really, so like there's not really much point to play them. Kind of, they should not have used Unholy Heat there. I think you're supposed to save it so you can draw Channeler and get a Surveil trigger. Like you just like you're not gonna use all your mana anyways. They only have 2 islands. How are 3 bees in the graveyard? They countered 3 of them. My opponent's draw was pretty good. Definitely have a bolt as that last card. I can feel some frustration over there, just like 1 point shy of lethal. Okay. Good to know what the last card is. Good to like be just definitely ahead now. I think we might as well take a draw step. We draw Fury. We're gonna be really happy we took a draw step here. Kind of the same concept of like them not bolting. And then I don't have a 3rd white source here, so let's just not attack. I think opening myself up to Ragavan is like one of the main ways I could lose this game. Just have Solitude up next turn. Seems very hard to lose. Still have Solitude up. We have to fetch Shock, but fetching and Shocking is okay because we'll have the life gain. They can iteration into 2 bolts, but they only have 2 bolts left in their deck. That'd be a way we could lose. I guess Dash Ragavan plus Bolt does it too. They find an Unholy Heat. And they decide to heat the Shardless Agent. Well, that last card is the 3rd Lightning Bolt we lose. And it very well could be. Yes. Fuck yes. Trade? Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I should have just traded. I don't know why I didn't really think of the line, but that was way better. Trey loses to Heat. I mean, you don't lose to Heat, but worse, you know, we don't have our Solitude in play. I think I like that line though. I think that they were pretty likely to have it, so makes sense to have taken that line, to be honest. So this hand is a little bit weaker to Blood Moon. Yeah, we have, oh, you mean Heat on the Salty? Yeah, we have Teferi. Yeah, Teferi, that doesn't do anything. I realized that's what you were saying. Okay, that is a helpful draw. Yeah, so I think we just play the Flooded Strand here. We can kind of choose to do anything with it. Kind of depends on just how much pressure they have on me. I think I'm gonna just really commit to playing around Blood Moon here. Just, I guess one problem with this is that like they're just not gonna cast Blood Moon if I do this, but I think that's also okay. I can just like pitch the Binding to Solitude maybe. Oh my man, that's pretty good. You mean they would post-combat bolt? Yeah, that's what I was worried about. So, like, I think blocking the Ragavan to play around post-combat bolt. Because they had one card in their hand for a long time. And I felt like I could kind of sense some frustration. Like, I was at 4 and, like, maybe their bolt was in hand. I was, you know, I guess I was just imagining it. But I did kind of suspect that might be their last card. Could be just good to Binding here. Like, they almost definitely have a counterspell for this Bean. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling just... I guess we'll play top Stomping Ground instead of top Steam Bin so we could cast the Endurance if we draw it. Just upkeep Binding. Oh, right, they forced us with the card they were holding. I forgot about that. Oh, duh, sorry. I need to play Steam Bins to have Domain. I knew this gave me Domain. I'm like, okay, this probably gives me Domain too. Sorry. I think we're fine, though. I will say that is one big, nice benefit of the Bean deck. It is very forgiving. Play a lot of decks on this channel that are less than forgiving, you could say. Should feel somewhat comfortable taking another hit from the Channeler. Next turn, I think my tentative plan is to go Shardless Agent, 2 mana Leyline Binding, see what happens. That game 2 was really, really cool. I feel great about being able to stabilize from a position like that. Forgetasaurus, great username. Thank you for the 3 months. Welcome back. So we want to not play our land yet because we could draw a fetch land. We just get Zagoth Triome and be able to Binding for 1 mana instead of Shocking for 2. Happy enough to pay 2 mana for Leyline Binding, draw a card. Leyline Binding is so messed up, y'all. This Leyline Binding is a really, really messed up card. So funny too. Remember how like people like legitimately wanted Expressive Iteration to be banned? It was like so clearly the best card draw spell in the format. In a lot of ways, I feel like that was kind of like the Lurrus symptom, or like the Lurrus like mindset. Maybe mindset's not the right word, but like Lurrus being in the format like really made it seem like that. Trying to do Spark in the deck? No, I would never register to Spark in this deck. Doesn't make any sense. Like, you cascade into it with no targets a ton of the time. Yeah, this is my Spell Pierce bait here. Expressive is still cracked, but Rena Bean, I know. They're just, like, so crazy. Moose Choppings, 31 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Yeah, I bet Expressive Iteration is also nuts in Legacy. Good demoralizing Solitude here. Okay, GG's. Wait, is Iteration legal in Legacy? I thought they banned it. Maybe not. Just one of those Mandela effects, maybe. Oh boy, Murktide again. I do usually like to Solitude the turn 1 Ragavan or Furiate or whatever. You know, getting 2 for 1, but I think you just like so good at outdrawing them that like turn 1 Ragavan smacking you a bunch is one of the main ways you can lose. Yeah, you get Subtlety no matter what there, so it's slightly better to main phase because of Leyline Binding. You don't want to let them counterspell the Solitude either. Lost Willow with the 12 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Happy anniversary. Yeah, 1 year in the Typhoon, huh? Okay, dash into Ragavan. I guess I'll fetch my Triome now, I suppose. Flip some Flooded Strand. Thank you, Ragavan. Great draw. Grind castings to the raid. Hope you're doing well. Welcome, everybody. Day 2 of Elder Deep-Fiend in the Bean deck. It's been pretty good so far. I think it's been a little bit of an upgrade on the prior build, if y'all are familiar with it. Up against Murktide for the 2nd match in a row. Got done with a pretty good set last time. Matchup overall seems pretty dang good. I think we had Typhoon in our turns build at like the very first draft, but it wasn't very good. I see a lot of Bean comments in chat is really dominant. Yeah, Bean is like incredibly popular and good. And so if they have a land, they can Binding my Beanstalk, but that'll be their entire turn. Playing Rolling Vortex versus Scam because of huge. Vortex seems... Wait, Rolling Vortex Scam. Wow, that's in deep. But I guess your life total is like pretty fine. It's actually kind of terrifying. I bet you dealt yourself 5 a lot of times, but then you just get Solituded a bunch and it doesn't matter so much. Also, if we hit Teferi here, we could bounce the Binding back to our hand and then trigger Up the Beanstalk and just be the happiest spike ever. You know they have Ragavans will lead the spec to block. Be thrilled with the trade. Murktide here is only a 4/4 also, which I would be not too upset with. Nice to have all of our basics in play against a possible main deck Blood Moon. Probably Ice end of turn. They're F6. That's good news, I guess. I'm going to Teferi here. It is the better play with the Leyline Binding on the other side of the field, and then it's also less mana intensive, so I have a better chance of... I can just double Teferi. Alright, and that's good enough for them, which makes sense. Probably pretty demoralizing line. Yeah, I feel good about... I'm glad I'm really getting my money's worth of all these like space basics and stuff. How's my Pedialyte going? I ran out, so I was drinking Esther's like Gatorade Light today, which I have not been liking as much. But don't worry, I ordered more. I'll be back on it. That's why I'm so low energy and sassy today. Okay, be right back. What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike. What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike. What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike. Okay. On the draw. So I think we go Zagoth Triome, basic planes, probably. Or I guess just, you know, and then Steam Vents if we need to. Cast Fire Ice next turn, which kind of looks like Fire Ice next turn will be reasonable. Could just be better to try to resolve Up the Beanstalk this turn. I think it's just like not so bad if they hit me with Ragavan again, and there's a pretty good chance this resolves, and if it resolves, I'm just so freaking happy. What happened to Playground Blood? I think with the Murderous Cut in my hand, I just like have to get the Zagoth Triome, and I at the very least will have basic planes here, and Fury and Fire Ice in my hand. Resolves, dude. Listen, please, chat, do not bring in Magus of the Moon against the Fury Fire Ice deck. Like, Magus of the Moon is literally +2 life for me. That's like almost the entire text of this card. Aspiring Spike gains 2 life because he doesn't have to shock in Steam Vents. Well, I do draw 1 less card because I'm not Shardlessing first. I feel like this is immediately exiting the sideboard. Oh yeah, shout out to Magus of the Moon in the chat. It's funny. Just play Blood Moon instead, but if you happen to have this at your board, just don't even bring it in. Yeah, the reason to play Magus instead is because it attacks against Tron and Titan and that it doesn't get Besaged, but... Alright. Please continue with your turn, opponent. It's crazy how good this card is in the deck. This is like even the worst matchup for it too. Four-mana flash, opponent time walk, opponent draw 2. I hate it there. I don't know. It is so funny that we are a value Bloodbraid Elder Deep-Fiend deck, and we're the villains. I don't understand. I know that we're the villains. I'm not disputing that, but it is so funny that we are value Bloodbraid Elder Deep-Fiend deck, and we're the bad guys. Hey, Phil, Tron does. Tron is good against the Bean decks. We actually just lost our 5th match at the last league to it. Bean is the villain, yeah. Although Bean is also a card that, like, initially people loving so much. Or is Bean the hero card because it replaces the One Ring? No, it's just so much better. Bean was the villain all along. Both can be villains? That's true, yeah. Probably like Heat plus Counterspell or something. being built Sylvan Library. Like, definitely, yeah. I think it's actually not close that Up the Beanstalk is a better card than Sylvan Library. Like, if I was going to put one of the two cards in my modern deck, it's not close which one I would choose. Like, I like my cards. I like to draw tons of cards a turn and for 0 life, not 4. Thank you very much. Although, I would enjoy playing Sylvan Library. You know, would Sylvan Library even be good in Modern? I don't know. The 4 life matters so much more in Modern than it does in Legacy. With, like, shock lands and more aggressive creature decks and lightning bolts and stuff. Yeah, Bean is really, really nuts with Force of Will. Having to wait a turn, yeah. Bean like immediately draws you a card, and like oftentimes 2 cards, instead of having to be an upkeep thing. Is Sylvan Library good in Legacy? People play it, or at least like when I played a lot of Legacy, it was a card that people would play in some constant mists to like just fog every single turn. Toughest deck so far. Tron is tough. Burn is bad. Tough matchup. I think those are probably the main 2. Yeah, I think Azusa was great in that format. I literally never lost a single match. Oh no, man, no, I drew Fire Eyes. Tell us more about Tiny Azusa. Well, I had like all the like tutors, so I would Dark Depths, Thespian Stage combo. I played some Hydras in the deck too, because you can only play things with maximum mana value of 3. So I had some Hydras to kind of like have big late game mana sinks. Can't remember exactly which ones. I think I'm just binding the Archmage here. Archdruid. Not only am I playing against elves, they mold to 5, dude. They mold to 5 against the Fury deck. It's just like so sad. Oh, I was playing Cauldron and Elves. I didn't think it was good. But I'm glad someone else is still messing around with it. Right, they got 2 cards in their hand. That being said, the last 2 leagues I've played with elves, I'm 5-0 into 4-1. I kind of want to not play elves ever again so that I can maintain that kind of record, but been doing well with it. Yeah, truly the villain deck. I mean, Elder Deep-Fiend does look pretty villainous. Clearly holding some innocent sailors. Slaughtering them. Why is Elesh good? They don't have... I think just like doubling up any of your ETB triggers ends the game. If they're playing Shaman of the Pack, like it can be a way to stop like dying to that. I don't think it's great. I mostly just think it's better than I think it's better than like the second Elder Deep-Fiend. Thoughts on Nexus of Fate? Well, we were playing a copy of Nexus of Fate for a long time. I ended up despite like having it for a while, I just never had a good experience with it, which surprised me because I've had really good experiences with that card in 4-color matchups in the past. But maybe like that card is just like so much better in like a Reclamation Shell that it's not really something you want. The hero is unironically Tron. Maybe there are no heroes. Is Narset good enough to consider boarding? Yeah, Narset is like even like main deckable in Modern right now, largely because of this deck, I think. Well, so they're playing Devoted Druid in the Elf Shell with Cauldron, which I think is actually very cool. Although the problem with Devoted Druid plus Cauldron is that the -1 counter you put on your creature that you've Cauldron removes the +1 counter, so you no longer have Devoted Druid's ability sometimes, which can be a bit awkward. Oh, if they had a 1-drop elf here into a 3-drop, then we were toasted. This Norn also stops War Master. Blue-White Days doing comeback. I mean, we've played against the deck a few times. It has like some merit, but doesn't seem very good. Because they have Court of Calling. I guess I'm gonna just cast a Bloodbraid Elf. See, I'm playing elves too. Elves are still good. How does this deck utilize Elder Deep-Fiend? It casts it. And it draws cards from Up the Beanstalk. We could die here if they have Devoted Druid combo. I'm kind of hoping that happens and we lose a game. Okay, so they have infinite mana, which they use with Elvish War Master to win the game. We're literally dead. Dude, Elves is broken. Bring Force of Vigor versus Green Tron. I was bringing in 1 on the play, 2 on the draw. You like killing Expedition map is oftentimes worth it. Like you would usually Force of Negation an Expedition map, so Force of Vigoring it is good, and then like occasionally you can snipe an O-Stone, but not usually, and occasionally it'll target a Karn target. But it's not very good overall. Worst name with 19. Thank you, thank you. And obviously, Force of Negation like has many other good targets besides map. Let's keep. For Tron, I think you should play more Force over Teferi. Yeah, maybe. I like that Teferi bounces Wormcoil, but I don't know. I don't think either are particularly good, to be honest. Like they both have. They're both kind of crappy. What card? They courted for Vizier of Remedies. They made infinite mana so they could activate Elvish War Guy a million times. So if we don't draw a land, I'll probably just ice them on their upkeep. Just so I feel a bit more comfortable doing that with second Fire Ice, because it's kind of tough to like have no red card for Fury and like maybe we just like flood out a little bit. And then like we can't do anything, but second Fire Ice means we'll have stuff to do and we'll have red card for Fury. Cara Doom, thank you for the Twitch Prime. Hope you're doing well. Heritage Druid, a little bit intimidating card. We drew Orlando, so I think we just let them untap with Heritage Druid and then might cast this Fury card and then Elder Deep-Fiend. I did not create the scam deck. I don't know who was spreading this rumor. I did not create it. I think it's because people associate me with red-black because I was like the pioneer of the red-black Lurrus deck that was like, you know, very good back when Lurrus was legal. But I didn't really do almost any work on scam, despite people saying I did all the time. It was Dingo. Dingo didn't create it, but Dingo's been like a huge pioneer. You know what, I was reflecting on this the other day while I, you know, usually as I'm going to sleep, I reflect on like what a good streamer Young Dingo is and how we should all follow him on twitch.tv/YoungDingo. I was thinking about how Dingo really popularized the turn 1 Fury line. I think that people just didn't turn 1 scam Fury very often until Dingo was like, just, all right, I'm going to put Hogak into play. I'm going to put Hogak. All right, Chatter, who asked, how do we utilize Elder Deep-Fiend? This is how. Did I create Yogg? Yeah. Yeah, early pioneer on it, or, you know, it was a very different format, like format too. When I was working, like Hogak was really popular, so I was main decking Carrion Feeder, so I could exile bridges and stuff. But it's also like in these like post Modern Horizons formats, it's kind of hard to like really feel like you are the person who created any deck, if that makes sense, because it's like. Or I should also say this: nobody creates decks. You find decks. Like I found this deck, you know, I found the Yawgmoth deck. Other people do too. And like the way like these MH Modern Horizon sets, it's like good to be the first one to find it. But all these decks are, you know, would have been found by someone else, and it's ultimately not that serious, right? But I did find it. I did find it really early, and I was really proud of that. Remember the brew. We brewed it on stream, like, and you know, I was, you know, like, didn't have a lot of viewers at the time, but the brewing it on stream was like one of like my favorite moments of the stream's history. Okay, let's fire the War Master here. I guess we could have Binding Bloodbraid Elf and then maybe fired them. Does that work on Rhinos? Yeah, I mean, so like the Rhinos thing, that's kind of a great example of that concept, where the deck is like pretty simple. It's like a pretty simple concept, and I had, so there was leaks that Shardless Agent was going to be like in MH2. So I had built the Rhinos deck just in case like those leaks were confirmed, like months before it was ever like actually 100% confirmed, you know, in MH2. So like I had the deck ready to go like months before it was out. But also like my first build wasn't that good. It was like, it was not like I had the build, and I think I was playing, I can't remember. There was some like big piece I was missing. I think I had like Cryptic Command on my first build or something, because I still perceived that as like a modern playable card at the time, I guess. Yeah, I don't usually look at leaks, but that one was like so hard to ignore. Okay, if my opponent can kill me from this position, I'll be pretty impressed. I'm of the opinion that, or I'm of the impression rather, that if they Cauldron their Quirion Ranger with a Devoted Druid, it will not work, because they'll have to remove the +1 counter to start doing the thing. I'd love to be like proven wrong and lose to Elves here, but I got 3 cards, let's see. Thoughts on Omnath in the bean list? Omnath is fine. I've been finding it to be like kind of a mediocre card overall. Like it's just like not particularly more impressive than Elder Deep-Fiend or Time Warp or Bloodbraid Elf. You know, maybe this is a hot take. Omnath is a good modern card overall, but I haven't found it to be like the most important, like, or the best 4-drop. Does help you a lot in the burn matchup. I think it makes a lot more sense in like Canister's slower controlling build. You know, Omnath is, you know, great control win condition. Okay, so we managed to defeat Elves. I have not been on any Magic Reddit post in years, Galactic. But I agree. I think if you're burned out of Magic, if you're not feeling it, you should take a break. For sure. I guess we keep the Besagi over the island. What's on? I'm ult to 6. We haven't played against Burn one time. Honestly, if I have these Leylines in the sideboard and they're there and I just never play against Burn, I'm happy. If they're my anti-Burn ward, I'm happy. But I think I see a lot of people online talking about how they're playing Burn specifically to counter this deck, and I like the matchup is like I think like close to like just like 70-30, 80-20 in their favor without the Leylines. Like insanely lopsided. Murktide again. So lucky. 3 Murktide opponents in 1 league. Yeah, I actually decided to stop bringing them in against Scam. Every single game I've lost against Scam, or maybe not game, but match I've lost against Scam, I've lost because I had like Leyline of Sanctity instead of the Teferis I boarded them out for. Obviously, like kind of a small sample size, like that will, you know, not likely be your result with them. You know, they'll likely be better than that, but that was my result with them, and you know, that kind of put me off of them. I think Grixis Shadow has a chance right now. No one talks about it recently. Okay, so what I actually like about Grixis Shadow is that you're an Underworld Breach deck. I think that it makes, like, I would much rather be on Breach over Murktide in this, like, Solitude Leyline Binding environment. Wow, they attacked me, and then so they could bolt the Teferi. I feel like that was just wrong. They're just, like, down a card. And they only have 2 lands in play. Like, what were they hoping to hit? I don't know. Man, this has just been so good. It's also been kind of nice not playing Omnath or Nissa, and we just, like... We don't have to think about saving fetch lands for landfall stuff. Very small thing, but... kind of nice. You're also having issues with the site. Yeah, our stream kind of crashed for a little bit earlier. I think it may have been on Twitch's end. It was either Twitch or my upload speed, like, dropped for a second, because my internet didn't go down. Alright, we'll let you... Well... Yeah, we'll let you connive. We'll let you connive. How generous am I? Is Sideboard in Chalice versus deck a trap? Yeah, Chalice. Someone did side in Chalice. Chalice on 0 does not stop anything in this deck. This is it only stops spells with the mana value of 0. This is mana value 5. This is mana value 2. Mana value 5. Mana value 6. So someone did bring in Chalice against me once, and it was very funny. Alright, very used to sideboarding in this matchup. Thoughts on Restore Balance Shell doing okay in this format? I used to do a lot of brewing with Restore Balance. I love that it is only 2 mana to suspend, and it's only suspend 2. I love that about Restore Balance. I was thinking of Resurgent Bleed for some reason. I don't know about Restore Balance. Those decks have really never been that competitive. I tried to build with Beseech the Mirror right when Wilds of Eldraine came out, and it was like pretty mediocre. Bad, some might say. But I mean, Restore. It's also like always like such a sweet deck to play. I wouldn't fault you for giving it a go. How good is Voidmere? We haven't played against a lot of Voidmere. You know, we do have 4 Leyline Bindings, but overall, I would guess that Voidmere is pretty good against us. I'm going to play this tapped here, and then we can go Windswept Heath, and so we can have Fire Up if we get Sacred Foundry, or we can get Basic Force if they like play a Blood Moon on turn 3. Could also ice them. Yeah, I actually think icing them off basic planes makes a lot of sense in their upkeep, so we can't get Blood Mooned, and then we can kind of see, do we need to get red mana off this? Oops all spells with Mirror. That deck is interesting. It was something that I think like looked really good to me when I saw like the first list. Like I saw like Andrea play it, I saw Dubig play it. I didn't really get to like watch a ton of those matches. I didn't really get to see like how like the matchups, how like what like its overall record were. But I feel like I didn't see, like, people weren't like telling me this deck is broken. People weren't telling me that this was like potentially like really busted new modern deck or something. So I'm curious if anybody in chat has experience playing the Oops all spells with Beseech. Like, do they think that deck is like secretly really good? Because I think it's doing a lot of things really well and really consistently. Brian Cook, pretty good. Yeah, Brian Cook is always so good at building decks like that too. Thank you, Octopus. Yeah, I love YouTube viewers coming by, subscribing. Obviously not, you know, not necessary, but I do appreciate it. Definitely helps a lot. I don't think I'm going to Fury right now. I will attack for 2. I'm learning to play Hammer. Do you think Lavinia is a good sideboard card versus this deck? Do you think there are better ones? I mean, Lavinia is good, yeah. Like, it's kind of tough that we have 4 Fire Ices, but if you don't have Fire Ice, like, Lavinia is, like, kind of tough to beat. Or, like, you have to get, like, 5 mana on Hardcaster stuff. I don't know that there would be a better sideboard plan against this deck as Hammer. That being said, overall, the Hammer matchup, it's tough. Like, I'm at this point, like, I'm playing for Force of Vigor in my sideboard, mostly for the Mirror, and, like, Hammer is just, like, unfairly getting the splash damage from that. It's... Yeah, Boromir's probably good, too. Like, maybe, like, a split, because they're legendary or something. Boromir also doesn't die to Fire Ice, but Boromir is also 3 mana, so... Strict Proctor's decent. Well, Proctor is decent, but, like, you still get the card draw triggers. So you can like put a Beanstalk into play, don't get to draw off the bean if Proctor's already in play, but then you're just like cycling through your deck until you find. You know, you can just pay 2 mana for Proctor's ability too. It's not like really that tough. Silence? I mean, I don't know. It's doesn't sound like the best plan. Subtlety also doesn't seem like the best plan. They have a scolding? Okay. Okay, resolves. They pitch? They pitch the dress down. So they got 2 cards. Tony Scapone, thanks for the raid. Hope you're doing well. A lot of raids today. Thank you, thank you. Welcome everybody. What was Tony playing? Is the scam matchup really that bad? Yeah, we actually are not really bringing in the Leylines against scam. They're mostly for burn and red green Valakut, which have been like the 2 worst matchups. Maybe you should upkeep here. I could draw another bean though. I kind of want to fetch my Zagoth Triome this turn so that I can cast Murderous Cut if I draw it. Let's attack with just 1 Shardless Agent, and then in my opponent's upkeep, fetch the Zagoth Triome, Leyline Binding the Channeler. It puts me in a pretty bad spot against a Murktide, but I do have a lot of outs to Murktide, a lot of draws at those outs, and I don't think I want to give my opponent just infinite surveils and like 3 free damage here. They call me Tony Scapone. P.O. Oh yeah, I feel like I call you Scapone just like as like a, you know, cute nickname. Legacy P.O. I feel like that's what you played last time, right? That still looks really cool. Just a cute nickname. We play their land. If they get iteration into Murktide and we don't like Bloodbraid into Teferi, they could web. Find a bauble. Does anybody know if the SCG 10K in Dallas this weekend gives RC Denver invites? Because I haven't played any RCs yet. But I want to play the 10K. So we do find Teferi, which will be bouncing a Shardless Agent post or second main phase. Tony Scapione, I see. Inflection. I was only there for 6 days. What matchup is the second Beseiju for in the board of Anviltron? Tron, Hammer. It's also that like you have Gemstone coverage in that deck, right? So, or you can't remember if you do. If you do, like, you get to board it in, like, in every matchup you're on to play. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played that deck. Okay. We're 15-4. Let's get a trophy prediction going. I should have done that last round. It's been a fast league, though. Should have actually time for third league today. Was maybe going to get to the backup deck. But I'm having a good time, and I'll play the backup deck tomorrow. Yeah, we'll keep this. We have, you know, turn 2 Ice, turn 3 Shardless Agent, plus Solitude probably. Just have to draw a land in 3 draws. They're in the tank on their turn 1 play. So let me yeah, they're playing Scam. They have a turn 1 Ragavan, so I mean, best case scenario, I'd just draw a red source right now. That is maybe the second base case scenario. We have the nuts. want to do this now before we get Bowmastered. Which beanless would you play in paper if you had RCQ this weekend? Would it be anything different from paper with round time being a factor? I mean, I still play pretty fast in paper. I would probably play this deck. I mean, the Elder Deep-Fiends allow you to close games like much faster too. I think like the Time Warp builds that Canister and Tristan were playing, those decks are both good too. I think we got Forest here. But I'll probably do the 21 months. Okay, thank you. But if you're worried about going to time, this is probably the better build. They do have Ragavan into Bowmaster. Good that we have a Fire Ice. I guess I should not be F6 though, because I would certainly evoke a Fury if I draw it. It is really nice that Shardless Agent just like 2/2 against the Bowmaster really slows it down a lot. Thought the Voidwalker. Always a card that's like a little scary and kind of. And the Thoughtseize. Can take my Fire Ice. I wonder if it was better to just like Fire Ice the Bowmaster this turn. Did I play against Avalon Titan? We haven't played against Avalon Titan at all, but I think the matchup's probably fine. We have 4 Charmaw, 4 Force of Vigor in the sideboard, which would appear to be a reasonable formula. Kind of dangerous to do this against the Bowmaster, but I feel a bit more comfortable now that I have the Solitude. That being said, I also don't really have anything else to do this turn, and the extra 2/2 is pretty relevant on the board, so let's just do it and then kind of hope for the best, I guess. What do you think of their plan to add Back to Nature to their sideboard? Is that their plan? Why not play Force of Vigor? Like, why would you play Back to Nature in your Urza Saga Dryad deck? Super good Thoughtseize again. I have felt more in favored versus Time Warp builds being on Amulet for its worth. Have you played against the Deep-Fiend builds or the other build? Because I think Deep-Fiend would also be a big deal. I haven't played the matchup at all, but I don't know. I don't feel so bad. I've got 4 Force of Vigor at the moment. I have the Elesh Norn still. So they're going to grow their Voidwalker by 1 so they can Solitude my agent. So this means Teferi Time Raveler is like a really good pickup because I can pick up the Solitude, I guess.
I was gonna see if you hadn't finished that gate raid so I can have some, but
I finished it.
Yeah.
Mistaken has been testing Back to Nature. It seems like just worse than Force of Vigor, but could be wrong. Okay, I'm not going to play the 4th Up the Beanstalk. I think there's a good chance we lose this one. Like, if you didn't have Dryad and Saga in your deck, I'd be more into it. Like, I understand that you won't always, like, have to, like, kill your own stuff, but having 8 enchantments just doesn't seem like a good Back to Nature deck against a deck that also has 8 enchantments. Kind of have to block here, so that, you know, Teferi not as good anymore, but draw Fury, we're okay. If we can, you know, cast chain like a Solitude into some stuff, we're okay. Or maybe even just Solitude is fine. Binding into some stuff is fine. Okay, so we did draw Fury. Do I want to shock? I don't think I can afford to shock. I think I just have to go Fury, take 3, this grows by 3. If I draw Binding... Oh, I could just still shock and play Binding if I draw Binding. Never mind. We're in bad shape against an Undying effect. We're in bad shape against another Bowmaster, which they think we don't have. We're in bad shape against a removal spell for Fury, which they very likely have. So down to 4. Oh, right, we don't have Black Source. Yeah, okay. Never mind. Yeah, this Undying effect is very likely. The Undying the right card, but could have been very punished if I had, if I have, the red card for Fury here. We don't. We're dead to the Dothy Voidwalker. Let's go and go to game 2. Oh, the Wicked roll is always so annoying. Yeah, their hand definitely lined up pretty well against ours. I mean, maybe made a mistake or two there. So I'm currently bringing in, or I was bringing in one Leyline yesterday. This is like tentatively the sideboard plan. I think it's still fine. I think one Leyline is something I want to still experiment with, but had some pretty bad experiences bringing in all 4. To get for not using Fire in the Bowmaster. Well, we didn't know for sure they had Bowmaster, but it obviously seemed likely enough to try to play around. One Leyline, yeah. Pitches to Solitude. Like, the thing is, like, you just get, like, drawing one Leyline as a dead card is fine. Every time we've lost, we've been, like, drawing multiple Leylines. So only ever drawing one, I think, is, like, kind of reasonable. And obviously, if it's in your opening hand, it's really premium. Why Deep-Fiend? It's very, very powerful in this deck. You can, emerge it for 2 mana off a Solitude, 4 mana off an Agent, 3 mana off a Bloodbraid Elf, and that is a good formula. And it also, like, closes out games really quickly, stops your opponent from being able to do almost anything. Just kind of, like, a roll that, like, I think, like, it shuts your opponent down and kills really fast, especially compared to, like, Omnath Nissa, which are slow, dirtily. With a turn 1 Ragavan start. So if I draw a white source, which I did, I'm going to be actually, like, pretty happy if my opponent undies the Ragavan, so I'll wait on the Fire Ice here. Oh, maybe I'll still Shardless Agent. Forget Voidwalker. Let's Shardless Agent here. I try to Sinkhole on the board. I think Murderous Cut is mostly in the deck so it can kill Elesh, Norn. You boarded it in some other matchups. I do know Sinkhole is easier to cast, but it's like I just probably would not play it at all, or like main deck a copy. But the main deck is feeling pretty good. I don't really want to mess with the formula too much. Awesome, Coda Time. Let me know how it goes. Becoming PD light pilled. Okay, nice to see Fable and not Blood Moon here. Let's play Teferi. Great to draw fetch land and get Black Source in play for Murderous Cut. Said we are a little bean flooded, I guess. Do you like Omnath? I mean, Omnath is a good modern card, but I haven't really found it to be super optimal in this build. It does pitch to everything, which is great. I think it's even better in like the version with Force of Negation, so because you have 3 colors of pitch cards. Back to nature, killing your own stuff isn't that bad. It's more that if you go for a 1-for-1, too much value has been accrued. Yeah, but you can play Force of Vigor though. Like, it's not that often you have 3 targets anyways, and Force of Vigor being 0 mana potentially is a really big deal. Okay, Blood Moon is really good here. I have my basic planes in play, I have my Teferi in play. Let's leave this back to block a Ragavan now. Only one Lrien Revealed does make you like a little bit weaker to Blood Moon too. Yeah, I think Cascade Beans is better than Red and 6, which is... a lot of people wanted to not have to play Red and 6, but maybe they didn't want it to happen like this. So we can draw Leyline Binding or Solitude. Fury's probably might be a little slow here. Gonna take like 12 next turn. If we do draw Leyline Binding, we can't even really binding the Blood Moon. We kind of have to target the Fury. We brick. So I'm probably dead. Can still get scammed. I mean, I could do something like draw Fury into Solitude, but... or vice versa, I guess. Now I can't. Okay. So, did not trophy. 15 and 5, solid 75% win rate. Is that right? Oh, we're 4 leagues. Let's do one more. One more league for the old sample size. Opened. I haven't seen this Force of Will. Cool looking. Still liking the sideboard. Let's run it back.